Hello everyone and welcome back to Silicon Sounds, audio for the rest of us. Today it is my pleasure to review the Shanling Tino. Shanling is no stranger to anyone in this hobby. They're a manufacturer of quality audio gear for a number of years now. The Tino is their IAM offering, one of the newer ones that they've come out with, which lands in the crowded $80 to $100 USD price range. I think I bought these full price for approximately $127 Canadian. Internally, the Tino boasts a dual dynamic driver setup per side with a 10mm LCP mated with an 8mm carbon diaphragm driver. It is a very attractive IM whose size and low weight many will find comfortable. A big bonus is the included accessories. I'll get to that in a minute. High quality cable, which is in of itself worth purchasing alone, and other kit tips and whatnot. Sound-wise, the Shanling Tino offers a neutral tuning with a touch of warmth, actually. It lends itself well to any genre of music. It is also fairly easy to drive, and as such should be used when driven by the most capable devices. Even though I say it's easy to drive, I would not drive this with an Apple dongle. I would not drive this with your typical basic phone. It really thrives off of to be driven by a more capable front end. The unboxing experience was well done. The box itself is small. I'll show you the box. The included accessories, basic Shanling box. The included accessories are of very high quality. For an IM this price, the retail presentation is done well and adds to the overall feeling of quality. The Tino itself is finished perfectly. It is a smaller IM with a moderately protruding tip nozzle, in fact, more than usual. Finished perfectly, black resin. There we can see some venting if it comes out on the camera. And we can see this beautiful shell top. Interesting enough, definitely strong magnetic drivers. If I put them close to each other, you see, this is some strong magnets used in their drivers. Taking them aside for a second, I will show you the case it comes with. Inside, you have a selection of tips, very nicely done. It's a solid case we've seen many times at different manufacturers. I like how they present the tips. Although they're not labeled per se, I didn't pull this out. Still, quality is there. The cable, I need to talk about this. This cable is very nice. In of itself, at this price range, to get a cable of this quality, the haptics are beautiful, fantastic, and it's a 2-pin 78, but check this out. It's convertible. It can use a multitude of tips. In this case, you have a 3.5 single-ended, 4.4mm balanced. You plug the tip in, push up the ring, screw it in for a secure connection. I call this a convertible tip. All that included for an IEM that retails for $100 US. The quality of this, it's very impressive. Overall retail presentation, what's included is above and beyond what you'd usually find at this price. Definitely the cable being star of the show, other than the IEMs themselves. So let's move on to the sound. You're here for the sound, right? Well, this is where the Tino becomes very impressive. The bass has a pleasing thickness and roundness to it without sacrificing detail or slam. Inside Stuff by Wayman Tisdale is a track that starts off with heavy drum beats and a plucking bass guitar. It was wonderful to listen to. It just highlighted the versatile nature of the bass as presented by the Tino. Let me hold it up a bit so you can see it a little bit better. There it is. Very nicely done. Tight and clean when needed, and thick and weighty when the track calls for it. The bass guitar in this track, once again, Inside Stuff by Wayman Tisdale. The twang, the speed of the bass, which was nicely relayed by the Tino. When listening to Stella by Gerald Simpson, the deep diving bass notes were placed so nicely in the mix, it was a pleasure to hear. Some could even heard to say that it did not take over the track. In many other IEMs, it takes over the track. There are a few tracks, Stella by Gerald Simpson. Other people know him as a guy called Gerald. There is Angel by Massive Attack. We're on lesser IEMs that aren't as balanced in the bass, but still produce prodigious amounts of bass where the bass can actually take over the track and blur the lower mids. Doesn't happen with the Tino at all. Pleasure to hear. Moving on, we have To No Worries by Robert Glasper. This is an acoustic track by an incredible trio and a fantastic new jazz artist, Robert Glasper. The Tino once again attributed itself well on the acoustic double bass in this track. The bass was very easy to follow with ample organics, weight, and tautness. On lesser IEMs, the bass can disappear into the track. It's a trio. It's recorded exceptionally well. It's a live recording. It sounded fabulous. The Tino, though, is not a basshead's IEM. Absolutely not. It just offers a bass that has excellent weight and, above all, is a good, solid musical foundation to the rest of the frequency range. I would say it was very, very well done. Mid-range. Mid-range is well-paced, clean, and balanced with more macro than micro details present, although there's enough micro details present to keep things quite interesting. Detail retrieval is actually good, and combined with a touch of warmth and a somewhat lush presentation. Detail freaks may not be overly impressed, although I never found I was lacking or missing anything while listening to it. But those who want sterile detail, the Tino is not going to give that to you. If you want musicality over all else, the Tino will give it to you. The mids here are a wonderful balance of tone dynamics with great timbre, combined with very engaging listen, to make a very engaging listen. Pinna gain is apparent but kept in absolute check, again reducing the potential for harshness. I might be a member of the low pinna gain crowd, to be honest with you. These have a very moderate to low pinna gain, keeps sounding clean and even and balanced. On Protection by Massive Attack, Tracy Thorn's really haunting vocals were slightly more forward in the mix, but without any harshness. What was very apparent was the clarity and natural sonics. Male vocals on Tenderhearted Lover by John Stoddart, another track I use and like so much, also had the vocals a touch forward in the mix, but again, natural delivery was clear. I am not someone who disagrees with having vocals forward in the mix, but when combined with excessive pinna gain, the harshness I can't stand. The Tino walks the fine line beautifully. The vocals are pushed front and center, not in your face, but they're more ahead of the rest of the mix and clean without any harshness. The Tino handled transients well, arguably not as crisp as with an all BA setup, for example, let's say the High Senior T4, but noteworthy again for how natural everything sounded. Sounded very natural. Timbral accuracy was above average. The Tino being more organic sounding than many of its competitors in this price range and beyond, I would say. Absolutely. Separation and layering on the Tino is probably not the top in terms of performer at this price or slightly higher. That being said, musicality and organics are obviously top priority here, and the Tino still does exceptionally well on these two metrics, layering and separation. Do all the musical instruments occupy their own space in the mix? They don't meld into one complete mush. Well, the Tino will never allow the music to feel constrained or two-dimensional. The Shanling Tino has a mid-range that can easily draw the listener in, with its natural and organic presentation. The Tino really suits my listening preferences and is well suited for longer listening sessions. The mid-range here that Shanling put out on the Tino is a definite win. The treble is reasonably well extended with good definition. Extension is not class leading. It does fall behind somewhat the, again, High Senior T4 or even the Advanced Acoustics Works Z02. But musicality is not all about extension so that a bat can hear the signal. Extension is not class leading, but goes far enough that cymbals, for example, do not feel like they're rolled off or less than natural. They feel natural. Treble, sparkle, and air are definitely adequate, with some treble heads may beg for more. You may, but the treble here is all about being a contributing member, if it were, to the rest of the frequency range and to sound musical. The beauty here is that Shanling has achieved in the treble, with respect to tuning and sonics, that are not overstated, but consequently do not detract from the overall sense of balance and cohesion that the full frequency range enjoys on this IEM. There's such a level of cohesion and togetherness with the frequency range. It's quite wonderful to hear, and adds to the immersive quality of listening to music through the Tino. I rarely, if ever, felt that I was missing anything once I settled in for a listen. And this is coming from me, a lover of bright neutral sets, to which the Tino is not. It is not lacking in sufficient brightness at all. It is all about balance and organics. Soundstage. The Tino offers a moderately sized soundstage that leans on the side of being more natural in presentation. No one dimension completely overshadows the other. Talking about width, height, and depth. If nothing is obvious by now, it's that the Tino is tuned for organics and musicality, as opposed to being standout in any one technical aspect. They've really achieved this well, Shanling. You've done it. The same bodes true of its imaging and soundstage. We never did have the Tino sounding constrained. Note separation and layering were commendable and really added to the immersive qualities of the Tino without being over-embellished or overacting, if it were. Instrument position within that soundstage were definite and clearly defined. Conclusion. Well, here we go. If you can't tell by now, I really like this set. The Shanling Tino is quite an impressive IEM. I applaud Shanling for producing an IEM that focuses on being organic and natural, as opposed to just highlighting one of a few technical metrics or aspects of the sound. To say that I'm impressed is not saying enough. The Tino allows me to listen for the sake of the music. It is this music, as relayed to my ears by the Tino, that has over and over again pulled me into the music. They're not very large, if I didn't mention that. Moderately sized, except for a deeper nozzle. They fit really well. They disappear physically in your ears, physically meaning you don't know they're there. They're exceptionally comfortable, and the music just draws you in, and you disappear into the music as well. It suffers from a little issue. If I can nitpick in that it draws me in so much into the music, it's hard to review, if that is a nitpick. This makes reviewing pieces of gear such as this more difficult, and the Tino is one of the rare products that has done this. It's more than worth that experience. The Shanling Tino gets a very positive recommendation for anyone who prioritizes musicality. Everything else that it offers is just icing on an already tasty cake. Highly recommended. Thank you very much for watching this video. Continue to support my page. We're back. More videos forthcoming. Great to be back. Take care, everyone.